Good morning, everybody. My name is Gene Coltas. I'm presiding member for the Metro Outer Development Assessment Panel meeting this morning. I'll declare the meeting open at 9:31 a.m. and in doing so I acknowledge we're hosting this meeting on the traditional land of the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation. We acknowledge the Aboriginal people as the traditional custodians of Western Australia. Pay respects to elders past and present and the ongoing connection between people, land, waters and community. The meeting will be run in accordance with DAP Standing Orders 2024 under the Planning and Development Act, Development Assessment Panels Regulations 2011. The meeting is being recorded and live streamed on the DAP website in accordance with Regulation 42A of the Planning and Development Assessment Panels Regulation 2011, and members are reminded to announce their name and title prior to speaking. Panel members may refer to technical devices throughout the meeting to assist them in considering the information before them. The members on the panel today are Councillor Serena Williams and Councillor David Good from the City of Gosnells. I, as presiding member, Dale Page to my left, Deputy Presiding Member, and Mr Tony Arias, the Specialist Member. Item 2 on the agenda, apologies, I have none. Item 3, members on leave of absence, there are none. And item 4 of Part A, the previous minutes of the DAP meetings are available on the DAP website. Part B of the agenda, City of Gosnells. Item 1 is declaration of due consideration. I'll ask all panel members to indicate that they have duly considered all the documentation contained within Part B of the agenda and Part B related information by raising your hand, please. Thank you, that's unanimous. Item 2, disclosures of interest. Mr Tony Arias, a Specialist Member, has an impartiality interest in that he's previously utilised the services of Oversby Consulting. However, Mr Oversby's work has been completed and not been engaged to provide any further services to Mr Arias. He is approved to sit and vote on the item. Any other members have a declaration to declare? No. And was this item, councillors, considered at a council meeting at all?
No.
Okay. All right. Form 3 DAP applications. We've got, and don't have any. Item 4 we don't have under Part B. Item 5, there's a section 31 SAT reconsideration for the item on the agenda for a proposed place of worship and community purposes. And we do have a presentation, Regan Cake from Dynamic Planning, in support of the application. And we do have a 3-minute time period. We have had your deputation and all duly considered. Thank you, Regan.
Beautiful. All right, good morning, panel members. Thanks for the opportunity to speak into support of the proposed place of worship and community purpose development at 65 Mills Road West in Gosnells. A considerable amount of time has elapsed since the panel's earlier decision on this application, and we're now fortunate that the City has proposed a recommendation of approval, which we are fully supportive of. We appreciate the City's and also the Department of Planning's work throughout the mediation process to arrive at a development outcome that is capable of a recommendation of support. With regard to the relevant conditions of approval, we have no issue with any of these and hope that the panel resolves to adopt the recommendation. Considering the revised application, the key aspects that remain consistent with the earlier proposal is that it will be primarily a place of worship utilised by the Hassani segment of the Hazara community, and there will be a maximum occupancy of 250 people. Additional clarity since the last decision has been provided around the operation of the use, with the building to comprise of 2 main rooms: the large community use room utilised for prayer and typical place of worship operations, and then the other large room will be primarily used for the community purpose land use, which will accommodate indoor games and sports for both the Hazara community and also the general public, i.e. school groups and the like. It will be available for hiring out. Due to concerns around parking through the mediation process, an additional 187 bays were provided, which has now resulted in 250 bays being provided on site. An operational management plan has also been provided as part of the revised proposal, and this will be conditioned as part of any approval that is granted, should that be the decision of the panel. This management plan essentially provides an overview of how the proposed development will be used and how the use will operate, and it will also provide measurable and enforceable controls for the city through the condition of approval. There was a range of additional broader analysis that was completed as part of the mediation process to demonstrate that the development application wouldn't prejudice future structure planning should that occur into the future. At the moment, I think the site zone residential, it's proposed to remain that into the future, and the use itself is capable of approval under both the existing and proposed draft planning schemes. There was also a detailed stormwater concept plan prepared throughout the mediation process to illustrate how stormwater management would occur on site, and that's also been signed off by WCA, who has no objection, and also the city have gotten to a point where they're comfortable with the management measures proposed in that as well. Finally, in wrapping up, today represents the end of a lengthy process and one we hope results in approval of a very important development for a segment of our community that desperately needs these communal amenities. Thank you, and obviously happy to respond to any questions the panel might have.
Thank you. Panel members, are there any questions of the presenter? Councillor Good, Councillor Williamson?
Not at this stage, but I'll consider. Thank you.
Thank you. Other panel members? Yes.
Just a quick one from me. Could you just confirm for me, and I think I might have picked it up in the documentation, but are your clients planning on incorporating public art into the development or seeking to make a contribution?
I don't think that decision's been made as yet. Yeah, obviously the option exists, I suppose, through the condition of approval, but yeah, we haven't considered public art in any great detail. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? If not, Mr. Arias?
No, thank you.
No. Okay. Thank you for your presentation. We may come back to you with questions later.
Yeah.
Panel members, are there any questions of Mr. Scambler while he's here? Yes.
Presiding member. Thank you. It's more a clarification around the car parking. Obviously, additional bays have been provided. The RAR on page 11 makes reference to non-compliance with the scheme requirements, but it would seem that the calculation can be based on area and or patrons. Is that correct?
Yeah. So that's correct. So basically, the way the scheme's set out is building floor area, patronage, or whichever generates the largest number of parking bays required. Based on the patronage that's been proposed, obviously the car parking is more than adequate for that. And then also when we've done our floor area calculation based on the usage of the building, it does represent a variation to the scheme. However, based on the operational management plan, the cap in the number of patrons, we were comfortable with that variation. The parking that's been provided could accommodate up to about 1,250 patrons, which far exceeds what the proposal is actually seeking at this stage. So we're comfortable that the parking that's been proposed is adequate for the current operations and then any future expansion as may be sought at whatever point in time. Initially, the city's original objections to it was that the parking that was being provided was at a far lesser extent than what occupancy and then also the capacity of the building could accommodate. With all of the discussions throughout the mediation session and then the proposed increase in parking, we're now comfortable with what's being proposed.
Thank you.
Just a question I have. How does the parking on this application compare to the place of worship just immediately to the north
it's double plus.
Okay, is that the numbers are double as well, or?
So the numbers are similar
Yeah.
in terms of capacity, but the parking that's been provided under this application is about double plus.
Okay, gives a bit of room for, bit of wriggle room for expansion, I suppose. Okay, all right, thank you. Are there any other questions? Yes.
Yes, please. Just a few. Who would ordinarily be responsible for developing the structure plan for this area? And if it is the city, what would the anticipated timing be of a structure plan?
So the city, we've got our structure plan policy. However, we don't have any intent to prepare a structure plan for this area. We've identified the area that would be suitable to prepare a structure plan for. And really it would be up to private landowners to get together to basically pull together a comprehensive structure plan for that area. I note that 3 of the properties now that are identified within that structure plan area have place of worship approvals on them. And they, through our new town planning scheme that's recently been approved by the Minister, are now identified as community purpose zoned properties themselves. So that would exclude obviously them out of the structure planning process because they've been adequately zoned under our new scheme. So obviously it reduces down the structure plan area required for this area.
Right, thank you. Just looking at some of your conditions, condition 7 requires submission of a landscape plan, and condition 18 requires implementation of said landscape plan. Would it make sense to roll those together into one condition?
We have previously had them as one condition, but it ends up being a little disjointed. I'm happy if you want to make that that as a combination, but the standard condition is lit as it is now. However, happy if you want to combine them to make it potentially clearer.
No, that's fine, thank you. Condition 12 deals with public art, and I think we caught up last week at a meeting, and the staff amended your standard condition to require any contribution for public art to be made prior to occupation, not prior to a building permit, and that makes sense.
Yeah.
Are you happy for us to do the same again for this?
Yes, and I have made that change to our standard conditions. However, the timing of when this report was done didn't coincide with that change.
Understand that perfectly. Great, thanks. Condition 15 deals with decommissioning of septic sewer systems, but isn't this covered under separate legislation and more appropriate to include as an advice note? And also, should there be a time frame for this if you wanted to keep it as a condition?
It is covered under the separate legislation. However, as part of our building licence check, our environmental health team want that notice as part of the building permit or any building permit. So alternatively, it could be an advice note if you so wish. However, our standard practice is to include it as a condition, so it then becomes enforceable at a building permit stage.
Okay. And then similarly, condition 17 requires no stormwater be discharged into the road reserve, but I'm querying whether that condition is needed because condition 8 already requires that all stormwater needs to be captured or infiltrated on site.
It does, however, that was specifically requested by Main Roads previously. It should be captured in the requirement to maintain and capture stormwater on site. However, if there is an instance where we've approved a drainage system and it fails or doesn't adequately capture all the stormwater and we end up with stormwater going into the Mills Road Reserve, that condition would give us suitable and sufficient power to go back and say, look, you need to amend the system or modify the system as it may be.
Okay, thank you. That's all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. If there's no further questions sorry, Councillor Good.
Thank you, Mr. Presiding Member. The Deputy Presiding Member made a comment earlier about the structure plan, and it just made me reflect on the fact of a concept structure plan from the applicant has been provided. My question to Mr. Scambler would be, it was an interesting design, but how likely would we use that, or would we take more ownership of the structure plan for the future, or would we look at what has already been provided? I was just curious about your thoughts going forward.
Yeah, I guess the concept that was provided really sets a possible development outcome for that area. It holds no statutory weight, but what it does do is demonstrates through our local planning policy how a structure plan could be progressed, and also how this development could go ahead before a structure plan is prepared and approved, which doesn't jeopardise the future rollout of a structure plan and or development within that cell. One of the things that the city administration have always wanted to ensure is that there is a road frontage against the Canning River foreshore, which this structure plan concept demonstrates. But like I said, we've got no intention of actually progressing a structure plan ourselves at this stage. That may change in the future, but however, at this point in time, we're not intending on doing that, and it would be up to individual landowners to progress a structure plan as needed.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Presiding Member.
Thank you. Any further questions? If not, we can, as a panel, now go into consideration of the responsible authority report and recommendations. However, before we do that, I'll have to get a mover and a seconder. Do I have a mover for the recommendations as printed? Yes, Councillor Williamson. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Good, thank you. Councillor Williamson, if you'd like to speak to your motion, please.
Thank you. I would like to speak in support of the staff recommendation. I think the increase in the car parking is a great outcome for the area and addresses our concerns, as well as the operational management plan. I think it's a good basis to be able to enforce the capacity on the site if it does become a problem with increases as the association grows. And I also think the development having the community aspect of the sports courts is of great value, and I think that is justification for why the proposed number of attendees is lower than what the actual building size is. So I'll support this recommendation.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Good.
Thank you, Mr. Presiding Member. Yes, I endorse Councillor Williamson's comments. It is unusual, though, to think that a facility which can hold up to 1,594 people will have a capacity of up to 250. So it's just getting our head around the fact that it's a big building, but we'll have less people. But as Councillor Williamson has said, the car parking bays going from 63 to 250 bays allows the people to be there, and traffic flow has significantly will be improved. That was my only major issue, was traffic flow and traffic parking and the ability to operate. But I'm very comfortable with what has come through now, so I'm supportive.
Thank you. Other panel members wish to speak for or against the item? Member Page.
Thank you, Presiding Member. Before speaking to the primary motion, I'd like to move an amendment to condition 12 to require any payment of a cash contribution for public art prior to occupation rather than prior to a building permit.
Okay, do I have a seconder for that? Yes, Member Arias.
Thank you. And the reason for that is securing a building permit is not a guarantee that the proposal will ultimately progress. It would be more appropriate to require any monetary contribution prior to occupation, given the certainty at that point in time. And as we heard earlier, the city is supportive of that change and will now make it part of their standard conditions.
Okay, any other speaker on that? If not, I'll put the amendment to a vote. All those in favour? Against? No. Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you, Presiding Member. So I will support the recommendation to set aside the DAP's previous decision and to approve the application. I think the key issues raised by the city and agreed by the DAP as reasons for refusal at the meeting of 5th of September last year have been resolved to the city's satisfaction. Extra information about drainage and stormwater discharge has been provided, and the city and DBCA are now supportive of that aspect of the proposal. As mentioned previously, significant amount of extra parking has been provided, and I concur with the city's position that the parking that's proposed will meet the normal demands of the development. Also satisfied with the outcomes of the traffic impact statement that has been provided, which concludes that the traffic that will be generated by the development can be safely accommodated within the surrounding road network. Given the traffic and parking will not be an issue, and given the noise that will be generated by the development will not exceed the noise regs, I'm comfortable that the development will pose no undue amenity impacts for surrounding neighbours, and that then only leaves the issue of whether the development will prejudice the overall future development of the area. And whilst there might be potential improvements that could be made to the concept that's been provided by the applicant, it's just that. It's a concept that indicates the development will not necessarily prevent the orderly and proper planning and development of the surrounding area. So until a structure plan has been prepared and approved for the area, development proposals will need to be assessed on their individual merit. And I'm of the view this one has now demonstrated merit, so happy to support. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, seconder, you wish to speak to the item, Mr. Member Arias? Yes.
Yeah, I'm happy to make comments.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, when the panel previously considered this item, there were some serious concerns about car parking, vehicle access, and the lack of a structure plan and issues to do with drainage. I'd like to commend the applicant in actually addressing these matters seriously and coming up with modified plans and technical reports that address these issues, and to the extent that I think the modified plans and technical reports address these concerns as evidenced by the comments from the city's officers and the RAR. So on that basis, I'm comfortable to support the recommendation to approve.
Okay, thank you. And I too support the proposal, as Member Page mentioned, all the issues such as the landscaping, public art, stormwater, traffic, parking, noise have all been addressed appropriately. The development shows that it will sit in the locality reasonably well, and the only issue that I had any concern about was the absence of the structure plan, but that's been shown to have a minor impact on the locality, because there's a concept that we were shown that shows that there is a form of development. There's probably several others. In these sort of small precincts where there's multiple small landowners, it's difficult to get structure plans going, and in the meantime we can't withhold appropriate developments that have shown that they can operate in the absence of a structure plan. So if the council or someone wishes to take control of preparing these structure plans, I'm sure that they'll keep moving, but in the meantime, I'm supporting this application as is. So therefore, I'll let Councillor Williamson have a right of reply to the comments.
Thank you, Presiding Member. I would just like to reflect on the comments made by the other panel members and agree with their comments, and I have nothing further to add. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right. Well, I'll put the recommendations as amended to a vote. All those in favour? Good. That's unanimous. Thank you. My right hand didn't show up on the screen. Okay. All right. Well, thank you. We'll move on to the next item on the agenda, Part C, which is SAT applications and Supreme Court appeals under Part C. There's nothing there. Item 2, under part C is closure. I'll close the meeting at 9:55 a.m. Thank you very much, panel members, for your participation. Mr. Scambler, thank you. And the presenters, thank you very much.